All right, good morning. How's everybody doing? Let me just refresh, make sure everything's showing up. Apologize about the few minute late start. Let me see, just this. All right, there we go. Excellent. How's everybody doing this morning? This is Paint with Lovejoy. We are painting a Bull Terrier puppy this morning. All right. Wow. We got a lot of people on here already. Excellent. So let's see. Hi, Catherine, Neva, Mike, Denise, Neva, Annette. All right. Awesome. So thanks so much for you guys joining me today. All right. And today is going to go off without a hitch. Yesterday we had the power out for about an hour, and it was about 15 minutes into yesterday's video, so I lost my photo reference, but my phone was still working, so we kept it going. So like I said, today's going to be a good painting. All right, so what you're looking at on your screen is I'm using an 8x10 panel, and some of you might be on a stretched canvas that's a little bit wider. And we have our image already drawn on here. And you've got two options for this. You can pause the video, draw what you see, and then pick up the video for the painting portion. Or in the description box below, there is a link to what I call a Traceable. You can purchase the Traceable, download it, print it out, and then with carbon paper, you transfer this image onto your canvas. And for my first time painters, getting your initial image on there with the Traceable takes away the frustration and stress of drawing, and then that way you can focus more on your painting. So just a few options. All right, so for today, we're doing a cute little Bull Terrier puppy, and we're going to do a green background, so we'll use yellow and green. I'm actually not sure why I put the blue on there, but we'll use it for something else maybe. And then this is actually a tri-colored little Bull Terrier, so he's got a cool little black, almost kind of stripe right here on his face, a brown body, and then he's got a good amount of white on his face, and then he's got little white socks. So we'll be playing with that today. And as always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or the question in the chat, and I'll look over and address the questions while I'm painting. So to start off with, because I'm on a smaller canvas, I'm starting with a smaller brush, and we're going to do a green background. And you can make the shade of green that you want. And basically start with the yellow, add a touch of your green until you get to the shade that you like. And if you use a little more yellow, then it's a bit more of a spring green. And as you're filling in your background, try a few different brush strokes, full width, turn it sideways, or X marks. And this is a great place to just kind of warm up, get comfortable with the painting, and then we'll dive into the details of our puppy today. Now, as you paint, if you do get your background color on the inside of your dog, don't freak out. You'll just let the paint dry and then reapply new color on top of that. So when you are working with acrylic paint, it is a very flexible medium and versatile medium for my beginner and first-time painters. So it's a good place to start with. And I am using student grade paint, so it is a bit on the transparent side. So we'll actually, you can apply it a little thicker if you're using student grade paint as well, or you can do 2 coats of it. And I'll probably just quickly, as I'm done with this, apply 1 more coat on here. Now, if you're mixing your color and maybe the second time you mix it, maybe it's a little darker, maybe it's a little lighter, don't stress about that. Having some variety in your painting is to your benefit. All right, and whoops, just lost my mic. Sorry about that, lost my mic. I thought I had it clipped on my shirt appropriately, did not. There we go. All right, so just filling in everything from the edge of our dog to the edges of the canvas. And getting in all these little nooks and crannies. And even as I paint puppy pictures and even kitten pictures, I can still smell that puppy smell. So cute. All right, so just looking over to see if we had any questions. So we're all good. And again, I'm just super, super excited at this little community that we're creating. I love that you guys say hi to each other, talk and chat while we're doing the video. It's just, it's awesome. I had no idea what to expect when I decided to start doing the demos. And it's evolved really, really nicely. So you guys are a big part of that. All right, so I'm actually just gonna throw one more coat on there really quick, going a little bit thicker, a little less pressure with my brush so I can apply it a little thicker. And if you feel like doing any wet on wet blending, go right ahead. Or at the end, we may do some blades of grass that kind of overlap his little paws. And for any of my paintings or videos, you are more than welcome to switch up colors. So if you preferred a purple background or a blue background or anything, please feel free to change and switch anything about my videos. I really like seeing that extra creativity and just making it your own. And even if you paint the same thing of what I'm painting, I'm still very proud of you for practicing. And no matter what you do, send me photos of what you paint. They're just so fun to see, and I've started posting a few of them as collages on my social media, and it's encouraging other people to paint. So keep them coming. You guys are doing awesome, and I'm so proud of everybody. My favorite part is that you guys are impressing yourselves so much. All right, so let's see, I think... Oh, did you guys actually hear my cats? That was pretty loud. I wasn't quite sure if you guys could hear that. And they do seem to like go into that little music making. It's my older cat, Chloe. She sings the blues, and it's always been like 10 minutes into the video. I don't know why she chooses that time. And then in the evening, she does the same thing, like sings the blues. And if I go in the room and try to look at her or film her, she stops immediately. All right. So to at least make for entertainment. So the traceables, Kyla is asking how much the traceable is. You've got a few options for the traceable. For the link below, it takes you to my Lovejoy Creations website, and they're $2 each. And you can actually go through, there's a ton of traceables on there. You can also become one of my patron supporters, and there's also a link in the box, the description box for that as well. For the patron supporter, you've got a couple of options. You've got a $2 a month, and that will get you for not the demo traceables, but for the videos that I release that are a little more edited and cleaned up. For $5 a month, you'll get the traceables for everything. But keep in mind, I'm about a week behind posting these traceables to that. So you wouldn't be able to get this traceable on Patreon until next week when it's posted. Just because I'm a one-woman circus show, I can't keep up with everything. But I wanted to kind of make it affordable, so $2. You can use that traceable as many times as you want. You can resize it to fit your needs, but just try to make it easier for you guys. Okay, so as we move into our dog, I got a little carried away talking there. We're gonna move into our brown fur first, and then we got a little bit of, like I said, a little black stripe, almost like a cheetah. And then he's got a white face and then white socks that he's wearing. So I'm still using that middle-sized brush, and we're actually going to start with a bit of a darker brown. So I'm going to pull some of this brown. This is the lighter, the raw sienna, and I'm going to add probably about a 1-to-1 ratio. This is burnt sienna, a reddish brown. If you just already have kind of a medium brown on the dark side, you can use that, because I do know that the paints come in so many different colors. All right. For the traceable, there is a video on how to transfer your traceable to the canvas. And basically you print out the paper, print out your traceable, and with carbon paper, you're gonna put, like if this is your panel, you'll put the carbon paper first, then you put your traceable on top of it, and then with pressure, you're gonna take a pencil or a pen and you draw right on top of those lines on the traceable. And because you have the carbon paper in between, the carbon transfers to the canvas, and then that's your outline on there. There is also an art hack video connected to each of the traceables on the Lovejoy Creation side, and you can do a graphite scribble on the back, and then use that to transfer. But just reference those videos and then email if you have any questions. So as we add this dark space on our dog, I just want you to observe the place and the shape that I make on the canvas for this, and then do the best of your ability to just kind of mimic the placement and the shape of where I put it. And by doing this, you are strengthening your power of observation. And the more that you strengthen that skill, the easier it gets, and the more you're going to observe. So if this is one of the first times that you're kind of following along with a step-by-step video painting, be very kind to yourself. You're doing a lot better than you probably are giving yourself credit for. And painting is one of those skills that the more you do it, the better you get, the more comfortable you get. Okay, so these are kind of our dark spaces. I'm going to move right into the raw sienna next. And I'm going kind of quick because I do want to blend a little bit of this dark color in with the raw sienna. So don't worry too much about washing your brush off because we're staying in a similar color scheme. If you need to, you can wipe off any excess pigment. And we're going to grab the raw sienna by itself, slap it on here, and we're going to fill in a good portion of his body and his leg. And then we'll come in with a little bit of a lighter color. And again, with this one, you can see it is on the transparent side. So we will do 2 coats of this so it looks a little bit better. And there's quite a few of my videos on the YouTube page where we will work on doing 2 coats of it. If you bump up and use artist grade paint is a bit more expensive, so bump up slowly after you know that you enjoy the process of painting. So that way you're not forking out a lot of money. But jump up 1 color at a time and just kind of notice the difference. There's a different feel to the paint, a different consistency compared to student grade paint. And as you're developing your creative outlets, maybe you end up using a mixture of both student grade paint and artist grade paint. I actually use both in my work because I incorporate the transparency in my layering for the student grade paint. So that's why I use both. But it's nice just to get a different experience for what the different levels of paint feel like. All right. Okay, so we got a little bit on his face as well, and then we're gonna add some white to this color and make it lighter. All right, and he's got this cool marking where like half of his face is white, and then the other half is that pure white. And as I'm mixing this, as this light color comes closer to the darker color, it was still a little bit wet, so I can kind of soften the line, the transition between the two. If your paint is already dry by the time you get to this second color, don't stress about trying to get that blending. You can bring that color right up next to it and overlap it just a touch. But no matter how fast or slow you're painting today, this is where you're at for today. And be kind to yourself. And it's more about the process of painting and the fact that you're actually sitting down and painting right now, rather than getting a masterpiece completed in a short amount of time. All right. Not bad. Let's connect to this area here. All right. So we're actually going to take this color. I'm going to start mixing some white with it. And it's probably going about a 2 to 1, 2 parts raw sienna. Let me actually make sure you guys can see that color. Okay, good. 2 parts raw sienna to 1 part white. So we're going just a little bit lighter. And that white does thicken up the paint, the opacity, just a little bit. And I am going to place it right on top of the raw sienna that we were just using or just applying. And because I'm going to place it right on top of this color, we're going to do a little bit of that wet on wet blending. So first I'm just going to slap this color in certain places, and then I'm going to go back and do the blending. So again, just kind of mimic where you see me apply this, and mimic that on your canvas. And as I apply this, to kind of keep that thickness of the paint, instead of coming in at a 90-degree angle, kind of coming in sideways, and it leaves less pressure on the brush, so that way the tips of the bristles are not touching the canvas. And when the tips of the bristles, like right here, touch the canvas, that's when those brush strokes show up. So as you get more and more comfortable with painting, you'll figure out these different little nuances of how you're holding the brush. Maybe you need to turn the canvas sideways, but always adjust in the creative realm to like what you're comfortable with, because this is your creative outlet. All right, so we've got them in these kind of weird places. We're going to take this brush, wipe off the excess paint, and then again, while these are wet, we're going to blend this together. So 2 different blending methods you can try. One's going to be just kind of a light pressure, a push and smear almost. Then there's the other method, and it seems really popular on the demos, and it's also very stress relieving, kind of this tapping method. And what it's doing is squishing that new color into the base color. And I'm not quite particular on that texture for today's painting. Other paintings I do like that, but try both blending methods to kind of find what works for you. So I'm actually just going to go back and I'll be doing the kind of squish, lay the brush on there, squish, and mix. All right, and even by adding this, it is thickening up, giving me that second layer on here. So doing pretty good. And again, just kind of squishing it into the paint, having fun. Remember to breathe and relax. I'm so proud of you for painting, and even if you're just watching the video but going to paint later, that is awesome. All right, so let's see. So Kyla, I'm assuming that the question, do you draw on it there? I'm assuming we're still talking about the traceable, and I was looking to see if I had one close by. All right, so I don't quite have a traceable. Oh, here we go. Okay, and this is from a different demo. So for the traceable, you have your panel, as I keep dropping stuff, and then carbon paper is this. It's kind of old school, back to typewriter days. The underneath side has the carbon. So to transfer your traceable, you'd have your canvas here, you put your carbon paper here, and then your traceable, and this is from the flamingo painting, and then you set it all down. Then you would take a pencil or pen and draw right on top of those lines. And then that would transfer to the canvas. And then for the demos, I went over it with Sharpie marker just so it would show up for you guys at home. You don't have to do the Sharpie marker when you do your transfer your traceable. So, but if you do like that brighter, bold black outline, you can. It does make it a little harder to cover the black Sharpie marker with some of the more transparent paint. So think about that before you apply the Sharpie marker on top of it. Okay, so still going with the shadow or the highlights, and we're pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and do one more, go back and add that dark value. We're going to go a little darker in the ears, and then I'm going to reapply one more layer of the raw sienna, and then we'll move into the white in that black section. All right, so going a little bit darker here, and we're going to use a little bit of black. So I'm taking that raw sienna, putting it like a new little spot on the plate. Little bit of black, a little bit goes a long way. And I do like to push it right on the side and then start mixing it into the pile, so that way I don't add too much black. If for some reason this pile gets way too dark, pick up that pile, make a new one, and then add some of your other color to it, instead of trying to add a ton of paint to change that color. All right, so it's kind of like a dirty brown. And it's going to go on the inside of the ears. And again, we are still, it's kind of that transparent. So I'm going to hold that brush at that 45-degree angle so it applies a little bit thicker. And I tend to stick with the same brush for most of the painting. So if you need to move down to the pointy brush for this section, go right ahead and do that. All right, and we're actually going to take this color and we're going to use it again for some of the shadows. And then we're actually, this is a good color for that little stripe on his face. All right, and just in a few places that we would have a bit of a stronger shadow on our dog. All right, so we had the ears, We got a little bit of kind of this chin and neck, and then kind of right where the crease of like their little armpit would be and their little hip. So once you've got that darker color on there, let's see, I think that's it for the spots. We're going to wipe that brush off, and then again, that light pressure, just kind of blend this into the wet paint. If your paint is already dry, you can go back to that raw sienna and white mixture and apply it and mix it into this darker color. So like I said, with blending, each one of you is going to find your own kind of groove and balance, and each day it might be a little bit different based on how you're feeling, your emotional context, the paint that you're using, and even environmental circumstances. So when you paint outside, the paint actually dries a lot quicker. All right. So let's see, we got another question on there. Where do you buy the paper at to transfer? So it's called carbon paper, and you can purchase it. The cheapest is going to be from a office supply store. One sheet of carbon paper you can use multiple times. So I think buying like, go in maybe with a friend and buy the 25 pack. I think I usually buy the 100 pack for the kids, and I usually give a half sheet of carbon paper in there. Or when you purchase the Traceable, scroll down and there's the videos on how to transfer the Traceable, and then check out that art hack, because you can use a number 2 pencil, scribble on the back of your Traceable, and then transfer. So if you can't get the carbon paper, check out that way to kind of go do the little art hack. All right, so right before we move into our white, I'm going to go back to that raw sienna, so that way I won't, I can keep my brush kind of clean for the white. So going back to that raw sienna and those places where it was a little bit on the thin side. And again, if your lighter color is still wet, you can blend into it. Mine is already starting to dry. So kind of keeping just that light pressure. There we go, a few spots it's still a little bit wet. And again, just kind of look at it from a distance, see if you need to go back and make it a little bit thicker. As you paint and get into the creative process, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn how you look at things, how you kind of deconstruct them. And the more that you paint and learn about your value scale, and your value scale is your darkest shade, which would be your shadow, which was the dark brown, your mid-tone, which was the raw sienna that we used, and then your highlight, which was the raw sienna and white. So learning 3 values as you paint will help increase your creative skills. And it's something that you can apply to any form of art, your value scale. So even if you're going to be a sculptor or jewelry, you're still going to understand parts of your value scale to create your composition. All right, so just taking that raw sienna just in a few more spots, and then we're going to move into that little black stripe. Really dark gray. All right. Excellent, excellent. And there is in the description box below a supply list, and it shows all the Liquitex Basics paints that I recommend. The brushes, I think there's knives in there, and then some of those videos, the color wheel, the art hack, the carbon paper traceable, and everything else is in there too. But any questions, please just send me an email. And I'm usually pretty good at responding to all the emails, either in the morning and then sometimes super late at night. All right, so we're actually going to go back to that kind of dark brown mixture that we made, but I need to make more of it. So I'm putting more of my raw sienna on there, a little bit more black, and going just a touch darker this time than we did before. And we're just going to kind of lay out this shape, and then we'll actually put a little bit of black on top of it. So he kind of has this dark little eyebrow, and then it's literally like a cheetah that has this great little line coming down the side of his face. All right. And if you ever watch a video, and I think I have 1 or 2 where I use burnt umber or umber. If you don't have umber, this is basically the color of umber, the raw sienna plus black. So there's always ways around stuff. So we're going to leave that there. We're going to clean the brush and move over to the little white fur. Oh, and I just painted right over his socks without even realizing it. So sometimes that happens. We just changed this little dude, so he's keeping brown toes now. All right, so as we paint white fur on a white canvas, we have to create this magical illusion. So when we paint our white fur, we actually have to use shades of light gray to create this depth. So we're going to start with a little bit of light gray and pull a chunk of that white aside. Same thing, tiny, tiny, tiny amount of black goes a long way to make your gray. So I usually put the black on the side, leave the residual on my brush to mix with it. And then if I need to, then I can pull a little bit more in. So again, we're just going for a light gray. Your gray may be a little bit different than mine. And I'm actually going to jump down to the different brush now. So I'm using a pointy brush now. If you've already transitioned to the pointy brush, totally okay. So we're going to fill in the right-hand side of this little dude's face. And then we're going to give him a few other little shadows right underneath his mouth. He does have a black nose with a little bit of a white, like little birthmark on it. It's really cute. And again, you're just strengthening your power of observation as you look and see where these colors are placed. And this one I will be overlapping that brown just a little bit, and that is still touch wet, so it might change colors as I do that. Just a little bit, not too bad. All right, and then we're just going to slowly go a little bit darker, and then we'll get those little eyeball colors in there and black paint, and then maybe we'll do some blades of grass. All right, so at this point, we're going to go a little bit, we're actually just going to go into the pure white. Whoops, I almost grabbed the reddish brown. Pure white, and basically filling in the remaining space of the canvas. And where we come up next to the light gray, you can do a little bit of that blending. And I actually put a lot of white on there. So just going to redistribute this blob of white. And where I'm coming up right next to kind of the tan colors, mine's already pretty dry, so there's not too much mixing happening. But I am overlapping that tan just a little bit with the white. And here I did go over with the background, so just make sure that white's pretty thick, so that way we have more opaque coverage. And because I am using student grade paint, if you can see any of the texture, most of that will flatten as it dries, just because it's student grade paint. If you want to start getting more into textured painting, it's called Impasto style painting. It's a lot of fun, and you can get into painting with a palette knife in a traditional manner. I paint in an untraditional manner with palette knife. But it's a lot of fun, so give it a try. You might like it. And again, that's how you figure out what you like and don't like in the creative world. So try different creative outlets. You might surprise yourself with what you really enjoy creating. Or finding a way that you kind of combine two different styles of creating that you like. Okay, so we're actually going to put an eye color in here first on both eyes, and then we'll go into black on the nose. So for those eyes, he is pretty dark, but I'm not going to make them as dark as they are on the photograph. So I'm taking some of that reddish brown, that burnt sienna, pulling it aside, a little bit of black. We are hanging out more in the brown range. You're just making it a little bit darker. If you want to change the color of your eyes for your dog, you can. If you want to give them blue eyes or hazel eyes. If you want to go that route for blue eyes, start with white, add blue till you get to the shade of your eyes that you want. And if you want the hazel, start with that raw sienna. No, actually backwards. Start with the yellow and then add the raw sienna to it. You can get to that pretty hazel color. As you're doing the eyes, if you go over that pupil, don't freak out. We will reapply it, so I'll make sure I do that on this. And even if you go over that little white dot in the pupil, we can reapply that as well. All right, so clean that brush. Awesome. Let's see if there's any other questions. Nope, nope, good, good. Glad you guys are liking the painting. Thanks. All right, so we're gonna grab black and we're gonna put a little on the nose. We'll do the pupils and then we're gonna put a little bit of black in that cheetah mask mark line. Not even sure what you call it. I'm sure there is a term for it. All right. So just kind of filling in that whole shape, and you did have kind of a weird little, cute little birthmark there. So we're going to use that, and I forgot to put red on my plate. So we're actually going to do it with a burnt sienna. All right, so same with that black. We're going to go over onto this little stripe, and I'm just going to kind of daub it on here. So like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And this guy, if you are inclined to make it a pop art, kind of doing an outline, I actually may do that on this guy. All right, so as you are redoing the pupils, you can definitely go back and reference the traceable if needed. And on mine, I'm gonna cover up that white dot just because it's a high probability you might do that at home. So I can show you how to reapply that white dot. So again, you're just going right on top of, with black paint, and use light pressure. So if you need to, as you're working with the pointy brush, put that pinky out. You can put it somewhere on the table and then use that as your pivot point to kind of steady your hand, or rest your forearm against the edge of the table. But try to find your point that you can rest your forearm so that way you don't get shaky as you're trying to hold your arm and hover and make this tiny little dot. And if you do find that you are shaking as you approach the canvas, it means you're probably holding your breath. So as you touch the canvas to, sorry, I said that backwards last time. As you touch the brush to the canvas, exhale. It's going to make it a lot easier than holding your breath, because holding your breath is what actually makes you shake. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do eyeliner on here. So again, same thing. Keep that light pressure. Treat your brush kind of like a pencil and just use the tip of it. This gets easier and more comfortable with practice. Your muscles are taking on a lot as you're learning to hold the brush. You're learning about the pressure, and you're taking on a lot right now. All right, so let's see, we're at 32 minutes, not too bad. Let's go ahead and get that white dot on there and a little bit of that cream. And then I think I will do the outlines, and that should take us into the conclusion of our painting. And Chloe the cat, who was howling earlier, just came in to check out the painting. She's on the bed. So, but I'm actually glad you guys heard that today, because she does that every time. And I've always been curious if you guys heard it. I didn't want to call it out. So again, this white with just a tiny amount of that burnt sienna, it gives a little bit of a warm tint to it, and just kind of filling in that little nose space. And then we're going to do these little curves. So these are almost like tiny little smile lines, and it's almost like the bottom of the nostril. Just helps give a little more hint of shading on there. All right, so for that catch light, clean that brush off again. And I do recommend that you wait until your black paint is dry. Mine is still wet, but I do recommend that you wait until yours is dry. So you're gonna pick up that paint, pretty generous. We're gonna come in and touch the canvas and pull the brush right back. The important thing is you want this dot to be in the same spot on both eyeballs. So again, exhale, touch the canvas, pull your brush right back. Exhale, touch the canvas, pull your brush right back. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do those outlines. And that will bring us into the conclusion of today's little painting. All right. And it has gone really well, and hopefully I don't jinx it by saying it, but we haven't had a technical issue or a power issue. I do find those very frustrating, and I learn from each one and adjust and adapt to what I need. But I do apologize for those I think we had 3 of them in the last 5 days. So hopefully I'm done for a while and we can just have some nice smooth painting sessions. So as I do the outline, I am using kind of medium pressure and making this line a little bit wider. This gives it kind of that pop art, slightly modern feel to it. But by making this wider, I want it overlapping a little bit of the background and a little bit of our subject matter of the dog. You do not have to add this if you do not want to. And if you want to change colors, I've had people do this with a red outline, teal. I think somebody used yellow once. But again, just switch it up and make it your own. And as you are doing this at home, again, rotate the canvas as needed. I'm keeping it in the same orientation just because I'm filming. Otherwise, I would have this upside down. Again, remember to breathe. I'm proud of you for painting. Nice, nice. So just looking over to see again if there's any questions. Doing good. I know my cats do want to be included. I'm still editing. It's been kind of put on hold, but I want to put a course out there for the grid method. And the grid method, you could paint any photograph you want. And we talk about putting a grid on your photograph, and then we put a grid on the canvas and go square by square. So Chloe, my oldest cat, she is the sample painting for that. So I did her portrait. She is a calico, so she's got all her different colors. And she's a little ninja too, quite stealth. Though I've done pretty good of training her not to jump on my kitchen counters. At least that I'm aware of. I gotta always have that disclaimer. All right. Again, breathe, keep that light pressure. If you are finding that your brush keeps making wider brush strokes, take a look at your brush and see if you have a lot of buildup on your paint. On your brush, kind of where the metal meets the bristles. And if you've got a lot of buildup, wipe that off. That will bring the bristles back together. And then again, just kind of play with that pressure. Such a cute little guy. I wish they could just stay puppies forever and kittens forever. All right. So this guy's turning out really cute. Again, please email me photos of what you guys paint at home. Share this with your friends. Please get other people to paint. We all need to find our creative outlets. So hopefully this can work for some of your friends as well. And if this doesn't work for you or your friends, try another creative outlet. But this world's not getting any less stressful, and I want more happy people and less stressed out people. So whatever it takes to get there, please make it happen. All right. So yeah, if you want more in-depth courses, check out my online school, Paint with Lovejoy. If you would like to financially support Paint with Lovejoy, there's information in the description box below. Any and everything helps keep this going. If you've got suggestions of what you want me to paint for a demo in the future, please just leave a comment or send me an email. If you want to see the future demos that we will be painting, those are on the main portion of my page for YouTube. Just scroll down. And I believe you could even give yourself a little reminder if there's a particular one that you want to watch. And I think I have the next 2 weeks on there. And I'm trying to get all the traceables out there before the videos. So those are at least out there for the next 6. And I think I've got some more to make. But yeah. And then again, any comments, questions, suggestions, let me know. I'm going to continually evolve this to what you guys want. It has been awesome and I really like it. Okay, so let's see. Looking at a few other questions. I do not know who Tweety is. Are you talking about Tweety Bird from Looney Tunes or something else? So please let me know, Neva. But I'll add it to the list. And I think with Looney Tunes stuff, I don't get in trouble for copyright stuff, but I'll research that just to make sure. Same with like Disney characters too. But yeah, this has been a fun morning. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for all of your support and keeping this going. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.